this. Until you give up on institutional validation, you will never be free.
So her video makes a really good point, and I highly recommend that if you have the chance to go back and watch it. And what she's talking about is the sort of stigma that's still attached to indie publishing and indie authors. We have indie film, we have indie music, and the like, but, kind of indie writing still kind of has a stigma attached to it. And a problem that I see connected to this is the larger issue of it feeds into some mental health issues, specifically imposter syndrome. So most creatives, maybe many creatives, there's probably creatives out there who don't suffer from it. I do. I suffer from it pretty terribly. But it's this idea that you're never good enough, that you're just faking it. There's some authors out there who are amazing, and I get a little bit jealous. They're selling books like crazy. They've mastered social media, which I am not good at. I have some, I'm ADHD, so I have some real issues with like how to connect with people in the right way I'm supposed to do it, and then that feeds into my imposter syndrome even more. It is what it is. But it's an unfortunate facet because there is a huge success in taking on the diligence of putting out your own book. And this is something that the greats have done. Like, we didn't have traditional publishing until much, much later, until like the 1900s. And even Charles Dickens, he published A Christmas Carol and several other of his books independently. He did it himself. Yet there's still this stigma attached to it that feeds into our imposter syndrome. But we shouldn't feel like imposters. If anything, we should feel more empowered than maybe, I don't want to say more empowered, but maybe equally as empowered. Let's try to keep a level playing field here. As someone who does get traditionally published, because we had to take on the task of doing it ourselves. Now, I do have a small publishing deal for one of my books, and then I publish the rest. My husband and I kind of own our own publishing house, if you will, and we publish the rest under my name. But that's a big task. That's a big undertaking. You have to find the editors and the proofreaders and the beta readers. You have to make sure the story structure is sound. You have to figure out the formatting. You have to put all of the delivery systems into place, all the distribution channels, and that takes a lot of additional work, and it takes time and energy and work to really kind of get the hang of it and do it well. So to those authors out there who are feeling like, well, it's not as good, or I'm not a real author if I publish myself, no. And you can find the same success, if not more. You can feel maybe better about yourself, maybe more in control if you have control issues when you're doing it yourself than with a traditional publisher. And that's not to say traditional publishers are bad or wrong. There is something that feels good of being validated like that, to say, hey, this person, this organization likes me so much, they're going to invest in me. But you know what? You can get the same thing, that same sort of validation, if you have millions of readers who are cheering you on and clamoring for your books as well. It's the exact same validation. Kind of a different form, but it's the same validation.